Meeting to order and ask if there's a disclosure of interest. Nope, it's 9 o'clock. And ask if there's disclosure of interest. As there is none, we have a resolution to adopt the agenda as amended with the addition of reports number 2025-118, which is the fire station location review report in regards to insurance issues. Report number 2025-119, the fire protection concerns. Number 15, petitions and communications from information. H is a press release in regards to a check presentation this afternoon at 4 o'clock at the Heritage Park. Is there any further things to add? All in favor of the resolution? It's been moved. We will now resolve into closed session. I have a resolution resolving into closed session, the time being 9:01 a.m. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We shall now go into closed session. Pardon? Is it going to be long? I'll wait till 10:30. We'll keep going till 10:30, then we can have our break. Okay, we have a resolution moved and second to reconvene the council meeting, the time being 10:09 a.m. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. It has been moved and seconded. We now have a resolution that's been moved and seconded to accept the closed session minutes of May 13th, 2025. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have the minutes of the council meeting held on May 13th, page 10 to 27. We have the resolution moved and seconded to approve those minutes as presented. Please let me know if there's any errors or omissions. All in favor of the minutes as presented? Opposed? Carried. Any discussion on any item in those minutes? Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. For the Happy Land deputation,
Could you give us a number, a page?
yep, page
or-
11,
Okay, thank you.
4A. Has there been any further follow-up to them, or what's the next process for that?
We will be getting a report from the administration in the future,
Okay,
and then we will.
go
Yeah,
from
if
there.
I
Make a
may, just
decision.
I have, somebody came approach me and they brought me a number of information that council may look at. I gave it to the CEO, he's made a copy of it, and I hope it'll be on the next agenda, so.
Once we have a report from administration.
I
Yeah.
gave them to what the information they brought me, so.
Yeah.
Just to satisfied on it, that should be looked at.
Yeah. it will
Hopefully
be.
they took advantage of the free dump days because they would have an access card and
That's right.
be able to get in there. On page 18, we talked about the projects for the community halls and recreation. Was a decision made to put the Murillo lift pumps in as a project for the NOHFC remaining funds? I don't recall if that was a decision.
No, the council, we looked at that option to put the sewage lift pumps in there, but the resolution was to proceed with the projects that were in the report. So that's what we are going to be doing, working on those projects, and they'll be scoped out, and there could be further information coming to council about those projects, but the sewage lift pumps was not added in, and something else were taken out at the meeting.
And one further question with regard to the Kakabeka Adult Baseball League, page 21. It did make reference that they had to have their insurance, but I think the ball games were starting the next day. I just wondered if there had been sufficient time to provide administration with that information from the organization.
I'm working with the KABL on that front. They didn't provide the insurance certificate yet, but it's coming.
Okay, thank you.
Any further items from the minutes? As there is none, our next item is bills 5 and 17. We do have a report from our planner. Our planner had to attend another meeting or training session, so she is not here. If you read this, there's a lot of items there that we should be concerned with, I believe. Is the option here to bring these to the government, or it's already passed these bills and we're stuck with it?
Well, Bill 5 has already gone through the legislature. However, some municipalities are still writing in resolutions opposed to it. Bill 17 is still open for comment. I think it says there when the deadline is to get comments in.
June the 11th.
Yeah.
Counselor Peacock?
Thank you. Would we have lands that would be considered urban residential land? We have village lands I'm just looking at the regulation for the setback of 10% without the need for a minor variance. Would that affect the village people, so to speak?
I don't know whether our settlement areas are considered urban in terms of this. Fortunately, Carrie's not here, but
Mhm. And also with regard to Bill 5, further in our agenda on page 170, we have a letter from the town of Shelburne, and I think that they've pointed out some very important issues that we should agree to their letter of looking for support. So, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Wayne?
one thing I want to draw your attention to is we had a discussion about it. The second bullet you see there on page 28. It appears that if you get a report from an accredited professional, archaeologist or, hydrogeologist or whatever, you're supposed to just accept it without response, etc. So we are curious to wonder if that means no more peer reviews.
So in other words, if an engineer comes here with a study, water study on a piece of land, whatever his recommendations are, we should not be questioning them or not accepting them. We must accept them.
At this point, that's what
Right,
it may
seems
be the
to-
case, yeah. But Carrie is trying to find out further information about it. I don't have a clarification yet.
Yes, Counselor Viss.
I guess I have difficulties trying to figure out what they're trying to tell us here, so what bothers me a little bit, it said the last bullet. Provide the minister with authority to impose preconditions, and then it says to ensure project meet the province objective. Well, I don't know what their objectives are, so what am I agreeing to here? I just couldn't get my head around this. I said, what are they asking me to either object or agree with? Is it just me? I just couldn't get my head around this thing. I said, what are we doing here?
We're not doing it. The province is doing it.
Yeah, well,
We're
that's the
just
thing, but
questioning
they
it.
want us input or
Mhm.
like, what are they doing? What is their objectives? I guess I don't know that.
Yes,
The,
Wayne?
the provincial government has done a lot of things like this, Bill 17 up to now, and it's all geared towards fostering development and in particular getting more housing built. And a lot of the details of how things are supposed to work and what are their specific objectives, etc., they're just not out there.
Okay.
So it's difficult to answer your question. What it seems like council is interested in this. I think it would be worthwhile if Carrie did provide some further work and do some comments and bring them to the next meeting. I think the deadline is the 11th, so on the 10th, we could look at some comments and then council could decide whether to submit them.
Well, even in bullet point number 1, it says any official plan amendment made on or after May the 12th without the minister's approval is deemed not to have been adopted. So if anybody wants to make a change to our official plan, if it isn't approved by the minister, it's not happening. So what happens to us? We just send it to them? We can't, our vote doesn't count.
Well, Marisha, I think she was correct, so get our planner to give us some information. She should know the ins and outs, what it'll do, what it will not do for our municipality, and then, of course, if there's things that are really gonna hurt it, then we need to tell them that. I mean, if
Yeah.
we're gonna restrict development in our area, well, that'll kill us, so I think that's a good idea, if she can come back with a report, but she's in there, and maybe it'll help me clarify a little bit more what they're trying to
Yes.
get us, so.
Okay. All righty, we will do that then.
Details of that is more than just bullet. It's more to do, like, we cannot force someone making So the details on that, with that official plan amendment, the way I'm reading it, is we can't force someone to make like a new study for an official plan amendment without the approval of the minister. So
It's
it's
just-
not quite,
Yeah,
but it's a little murky.
it is. Yeah.
All this stuff isn't even, like the last 3 or 4 bullet points aren't even related to us, so it is. False, right?
The last 3 or 4 bullet points don't even apply to us per se, because really, we don't have no control over a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it's just when you read some of this, you almost feel like the ministry wants to take back
Oh,
some of the
definitely.
powers over us, but it's hard enough with their workloads to get responses from the ministry on any topic. So that means things could take 6 months to a year before it comes back, which
Oh,
doesn't help for growth.
no, it's
No.
standard stuff.
That's right. Okay. All righty, the next item is a resolution, the transfer of Nicolet's Road allowance to the municipality. It has been moved and seconded, page 30 to 31. Is there any questions on this? Any concerns? Yes,
Yeah, there was an issuance of a correction there. What was printed on page 30 there, when the last paragraph, the last couple of words was Lynn Road, so it's Nicolet's there.
Nicolet's Road. Okay,
So,
that's just a
We
report
got
though.
that straightened out, yeah.
So this is a resolution for the transfer of Nicholas Road allowance to the municipality. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next item is in regards to a meeting or conversation that Councillor Viss had at the NOMA conference, and it is the letter. Is that not the no, the letter we have received right here, right? It's in regards to partial servicing, and it's just to let the minister know what conversation took place, and there seems to be disconnect with what they've done and what somebody thinks they've done. So if you have the letter, then yes.
Yeah, and I have, and I appreciate the letter that pointed out, like what CEO said right off the bat, when we sent it to that meeting, that they
Yeah.
didn't change, and he said no. The only thing I wondered about, because there was such a key interest of 3 ministers that addressed me right off the bat, if we should have sent a copy to the ministers like Honor Todd McCartney and Rob Flack, as well as Lisa Thompson. All 3 of them addressed me right off the bat because they didn't like what they heard. You see that we said we're restricting development, and guess what? They're all about building houses, right? And then I just came back and said no. And so I wondered if they should get a copy of that.
It's very easy to send a copy to them.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
I think it'd be good though, because they addressed, came back to me.
I'd like you to repeat what ministers, there's Rob Flack,
The Honorable Todd McCarthy from Environment
Carthy,
and the Honorable Rob Flack of Affairs and Housing. And Lisa Thompson, Honor Lisa Thompson, Rural Affairs.
Okay, yes.
I just wanted to add that this letter was sent to MPP Holland.
Yes, this information has to go to our local MPP too.
And yeah, there's nothing wrong with it goes to him. No,
No, it
that's a
goes-
good thing.
no,
Always
it
send
goes.
to our local.
Yes,
And then they're in on it when they're asking. You
yeah.
see.
They appreciate it because that way when a minister approaches them, they don't look like a dummy because they don't know about the letter.
So if you do that, I'd appreciate that, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for giving us a heads up on the topic, Councillor Viss. The next item is the TCI contract pumper tanker and rescue 93, and it's a report in regards to progress and cost on the trucks, and we have the fire chief here. So if you have any questions, there is no resolution, it's just for a report for our information. Sean? If there's any questions? Yes,
Yes,
Councillor.
I have, and I thought we ordered this early enough. I see a tariff $5,500. Should we eat that? I thought that those orders were long before the tariff came into place. It's not our problem that the company that's building it didn't get their material in on time. So I don't know where that goes. It could be a legal battle. I don't know where they'll end up. I just found it strange that we gotta pay for the tariff.
So I'll try to answer. Some of the items could not be ordered before the tariffs because of, they needed the specs of the truck that was actually being ordered and things like that. So they ordered as much as they could right when they got the contract, but certain items, they didn't have the specs until they got it from the truck chassis company, which delayed them pre-ordering them. So that was my understanding on those parts.
I appreciate that. So then we go to the truck company, say you didn't give the information early enough, you pay the tariff.
But unfortunately, the tariffs, we just had all our ladders tested and there's a tariff charge on it. It's just the way of the future because the tariffs are going on everything. And unfortunately, there's no way it could have been known that the tariffs were gonna be on or even a factor when this was all done.
Yeah,
Just wanted to add that, you know, the treasurer was in a procurement seminar about this matter. And the tariffs are a reality that everyone has to deal with, and there's different ways to approach it. No one in there envisioned having tariffs in their contracts. So you can always get a, lawyer up and fight about who's supposed to pay for them and spend a lot of money on that. And what the moderator of this thing said was, why don't you make a deal with between the vendor and the customer about how you're going to handle it? And, you could split it down the middle or do something of that nature. But maybe you could elaborate on that a bit, John?
Yeah. So this was obviously is a hot topic of conversation back, especially in January and stuff. The kind of the whole gist of the meeting is that chances are your contract is not worded to address the tariff situation. And I cursory glance, I checked, it's not really worded clearly that it gives the responsibility to either side in case something like that happens. So their suggestion was yeah, you can spend $25,000 or $100,000 on lawyers fighting it out, or you can negotiate with the supplier to come up with something reasonable. It's not in our best interest for TCI to eat these tariffs and potentially not be able to deliver the product, right? So so that's basically the long and short of. They gave a whole bunch of different examples, but basically, yeah, if you want to save $5,500, you can spend whatever thousands on lawyers and whatever months in delays, because it's going to take a year or more to get through the court system anyway. So, but it's there.
Councillor Campoff?
And I would guess we'd probably lose if it went to court.
It's 50-50. I would.
Because what's that called? Force majeure, when they have something that's unforeseen, they could say sorry, because the problem is if we went to any other vendor, we're gonna have to pay the tariff too.
You're gonna pay the tariff as well.
It's too bad.
Councillor Biss?
Well, yes, now I don't think we want to spend any money on a lawyer, but we have capable employees that can negotiate a very good favorable thing for us. So, and that doesn't cost you a whole lot to do that. So my suggestion is work with them and
Broach the subject.
whatever.
Have a
I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I believe that with the purpose of the report was just to make you aware of the possibility. It wasn't a decision was going to be made that we were definitely going to pay her or
Okay.
anything like
This
that.
is just to give us a heads up.
Information report.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. I spoke with Sean as well as with Wayne, on both of these pieces of equipment. It indicates a new portable pond, but we already had an RFQ out and it was, issued to TransCanada Safety for $6,408 plus tax for two 3,000-gallon portable ponds. So if Sean could perhaps provide details on what happens to those expenses? Because we don't need those ones as far as I understand.
Yep, so, we purchased the larger ponds as a result of another matter. And I went to TCI, actually both Wayne and I through a meeting before we did the final sign off. And suggested that they don't supply the ponds, they use the money that was earmarked in the spreadsheet for the ponds to upgrade the lifts for the bigger ponds that we purchased. And they agreed to do that. This summary was the original summary. And those new ponds should have come out and that money should have been moved over to part of the build.
Mhm.
So I told them, don't order the ponds because we have them, but instead of charging us more for the lifts for the bigger ponds, and they had agreed to do that, so.
Okay, perfect.
And then with regard to the tariff, is it something that they could provide us details on, or is that just a flat rate that they're charging?
I don't know that I can answer that question. It's,
We can certainly ask them the question, what's the tariff on? When we had a meeting a couple of months ago or thereabouts, the Kerry Smart from TCI was here and fire chief, and we talked about tariffs. And at the time, there was the uncertainty was more negative. She was suggesting that up to $400,000 or $500,000 worth of the builds would be subject to maybe a 25% tariff, which would have been $100,000 extra. Now, it doesn't look like that at the moment, but we got to hold on to our hat, but we can certainly ask TCI, the $5,500 is on what?
so
John?
if I could, if memory serves, the two big items were the chassis and the tanks that are going in, and I believe, speaking off the cuff a bit, this tariff has to do with the tanks, the poly tanks for the water. And they couldn't pre-order those because they needed the specs on the chassis to build the specs of the frame to put the tanks into.
Okay. Alrighty. Next item we have is the budget variance report as of March 31st. We did get budget on a separate package. Does council's wish to go through every department from beginning to end? Yes, Councillor Bess.
No, Mayor, I didn't think I want to do that. Now, I'll be
Asking.
honest up front, I didn't go through a whole lot of detail because when I read there, it said no significant variance. And regarding the insurance distribution, it hasn't settled up yet, so I said, what am I looking for? And so that's just my take on it, so I'll be honest, I said, when I seen all that, I guess staff ain't gonna tell me something that ain't correct, so
That's right.
hopefully that's correct. So that's just my take on it.
I had one comment when I was going through these, and I know this is with the new program.
Sure.
That when we used to look at the older ones, when we would get them, I would look at that one column on the side as what percent has been spent. It was a percentage, so I could look at it, and after the first quarter, it would say 25% or 30. I would just go, okay, that one's going okay. And at the 3 quarters, if it's around 75, 80%, no use looking any further, especially at the total balance. But right now, there's just amounts there. So for me, it was a bit of a surprise, and I found that a little bit more work for me to figure out where it was. That's all.
I can add that to future reports. I actually did have had columns with percentage variances and compare year to year or year to date and versus previous years. But because it was such a small time
Mhm.
period, the
Yes.
variances were various. But I can add percentage of budget spent as in
Yeah,
the future.
I just
reports.
find it,
Okay.
because at the end of the day,
Yep.
you want to be around the 100%. And if you're at the right percentage at the right quarter, then there's nothing to just look up and say, oh, well, they had to buy that. It's a little bigger, but that equals it out. So I would appreciate that. I really would.
Sure.
Take the lazy person's way out. Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. On the first page with regard to POA, there, is that possibly last year's that we received? Because we're to the good for 32,000 on that one.
So the POA payments that we receive are actually a blend of like 3 years experience through the courts and stuff. So yeah, but it is this year's payment. So
Mhm.
this is a 2025 amount that we're going to get, but it's based on activity for previous, like over the last 3 previous years or so. So, but we are getting 62 and
It's
we got
wonderful.
52 in the previous year.
Mhm.
So yeah, but we don't know what it's going to be. So next year it could be lower.
That's right.
But you know,
It's a revenue.
seems like that, you know, fair amount of criminal activity going on. All-
This could be something that was in court for a few years.
Yeah.
Enough.
Well, although, and it also is it's actually, it's district wide too, right?
Right.
So it's city, it's all, it's in the Thunder Bay court system. And then it's allocated out to each municipality, so it doesn't necessarily reflect that, you know, they got, say, $62,000 worth of speeding tickets on Oliver Road.
That's right.
Or Twin City Crossroads or something like that. So,
Okay.
And I also note that I realize this is to the end of March, but there are a number of projects that and purchases that we had approved since the budget was passed, and equipment in particular, there isn't a separate line item for them. The line item has a description, but the, like, for instance, like the float trailer, we have a float trailer in here, but we don't have the new float trailer in there. So just things like that. But I'm sure that once the new program is sorted out and the proper numbers are issued to everything, then this will work its way out, probably not till Q3, but
well, any item that we get, we will add. So we would not have made the payment on the float trailer as of March 31st.
Exactly.
So that's why it wouldn't show up in
That's
here.
right.
But it will show up in when the payments are made. So, and if it's not, it doesn't have an existing account number, now one will be added when we make the purchase.
Okay.
Yeah, and the accounts that we have for pieces of equipment like R&M and so forth, if we have a new piece of equipment, then we'll create an R&M account for them. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So just, and
Yes.
this one here, the replace backhoe, but we canceled that and pushed it ahead to 26. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, on public works capital expenditure, the 215.
Yeah. So they'll
But if that was
they'll
done-
show up in the reports,
Yeah.
but just have no expenses this year.
That's right.
I think same as the guardrails. Did we not cancel that project? Yeah.
Some stuff that's,
I believe the guardrails were deferred pending a reevaluation of the
yeah.
project. So
Perhaps so.
That's-
I can answer. What happened was the bids came in over budget, and the Director of Operations will be looking at other options that may fit within the budget provision.
Okay. All righty. And we have, I think right now, time to take a 5-minute break before we go through 100 pages of a water system study. So if we could take a 5-minute break.
I'm going to take a break right through this.
So we're back again.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yep.
All righty, so the next item we have is the Roslyn Village Drinking Water System Annual Report and Inspection, page 41 to 112.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to have a question or comment on that report? Yes, Councillor Viss.
Yes, I have one question. Could somebody explain all those numbers to me? What they mean? Pages after page after page, I said I need somebody to explain this to me. I don't know what we're talking about.
These,
We've passed
yeah, so
9% or whatever.
So through the chair, under the Safe Drinking Water Act, there is a robust inspection where they look at the whole year's worth of data. So included in the report is all the data that we do on a monthly basis or a bi-weekly basis or every 3-day basis. All those numbers are cumulatively. It shows a variance, it shows your deviations based on the norm, it shows your incidences. And then for every incidence of nonconformance, whether it be we didn't get a piece of paper, the ministry writes a report or a recommendation based on that. The overall result, it's an admin feature of running a water system plant, and we achieved 95.7 or 95.59.
There we go.
That's good.
That's
what we need to do.
Perfect. Yes, that's absolutely good. Any other questions on it? The 95%?
That's not perfect.
no, not 100.
It's as close to perfect as I would be happy to be.
The city got 100.
Well, good for the city.
Through the chair, the city did not get 100.
That's what they said.
And in previous years, this number has been as low as 46 to refresh people's memories.
That's right. So that's why I'm saying
I just,
it's perfect as perfect can be.
I just watched it last week when they're on TV at Walter there. We got 100%.
Yes, Councillor Peacock?
Achieve 100. No.
Nobody.
Never.
Nobody will ever be perfect. Yes,
With reg-
Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. On page 45, the health and safety upgrades, have they been completed then?
Yes.
With regard to the spill kit, et cetera?
Yes.
Thank you. And the reports that are required and the documentation that gets sent in, is that done by the person the company that we have to look after that, or is that your responsibility or one of your employees?
Through the chair, it's done by the service provider.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Next item we have is the resolutions, this resolution's been moved and seconded in regards to recording of Council Committee of Adjustment meetings policy. We had it come forth at our last meeting, but it was deferred to include Committee of Adjustment meetings. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Peacock?
On page 115, it indicates signage shall be posted in the council chambers. Will we have that done?
Let's,
It is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
anything else? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a resolution moved and seconded in regards to newsletter agreement with the Design House Publications, who does our monthly newsletter. Any discussion, questions? Councillor Kempoff?
Not, maybe not directly related to the agreement, but just I was at a library meeting last week and it was noted by some of the board members that their distribution of our newsletter is not being done properly, I believe out of Roslyn. So,
I had a member of my family who lives in Oliver who hadn't received a newsletter in 3 months. She thought it had been canceled and wasn't happening anymore. Through investigation with herself and Chris, they found out she wasn't getting it because she had put no flyers. And when the paper changed to a little cheaper part of paper, the post office considered that a flyer, and that's why she wasn't getting it. So now she said, no, I'll take the flyers. I want the newsletter. That is one of the problems that I talked with Chris, that this is happening.
I just wanted to comment that the librarian did send me a note about this issue with the things not getting delivered, so we passed it on to Chris Backlab for follow-up.
Well, and that was what, after her follow-up and a discussion with the post office, it came out because she had at one point said, we don't want flyers in our mailbox. This newsletter is considered a flyer. So Yes, Counselor Peacock?
Thank you. I was going to ask that same question. I've also heard that people on Broadway get our newsletter, so I'm just not sure how come, but
Oh, sometimes that happens, overlap of the
Yeah.
person who's delivering the mail.
now when there's group mailboxes, are the newsletters put into those group mailboxes if they're addressed? Do you know? Because a lot of people now, and who knows what's going to happen in the future, everybody could be a group mailbox. So I just wondered the status of that. Because there are still some people who don't get the newsletter, and hopefully they can check our website and find it there for further information.
You're referring to community mailboxes? And you're not sure whether they're going in there? Yeah, offhand, I don't know either. So I'd have to ask Chris Backlav how that works. I
They
don't
go
know.
into the mailboxes at the Quebec Post Office, and those are all in the wall there. They all get a copy. Yeah. Unless they say no. They're flyers. The unfortunate thing is if you go there the day after they're delivered, there's about 10 or more laying on the floor because people don't want to read them. They just throw them away, which is too bad. Yes.
You can ask the municipal administration questions about this, and we can ask her, but on page 120, publisher rights and responsibilities, the publisher shall prepare, print, the newspaper shall distribute. So that's where I go, I don't know the details of where the stuff, how it gets done or anything.
I do feel though that the newsletter is very beneficial and people look forward to it. So it's a good communication for the community.
Okay, so I do have a resolution moved in second in regards to the newsletter agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And now we have a lease agreement. It is also a resolution that's been moved and seconded. The lease agreement with the office space at the Morello Hall with SG McKinnon Logging, Inc. It has been moved and seconded, is open for discussion. Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions. It indicates that it's May the 28th of 2025 that this indenture is being signed, and yet the term shall commence on the 1st of May as far as the term. So is,
That's easy to do. You can do that.
Okay.
The agreement is effective on the 1st of May, and they've got to pay the new rent as of May 1st, even though we're signing it afterwards.
okay. And then with regard to, on page 127, number 6, with regard to services, the tenant's responsibility, it does say life safety features, including fire extinguishers and emergency lighting. Is that their responsibility or is it not ours because it's our building? As well, the janitorial services in the premises, does our caretaker look after that or do they get their own caretaker? And if that's the case, do they just look after it themselves or is their caretaker given a key to the operation?
I have the answer to the first question. I think Chris has got the for second one, but we're not responsible for what happens within the tenant's space. Their life safety, et cetera, that's their job, fire extinguishers, et cetera. We're responsible for the common areas. And then, Chris, you wanted to add some detail?
Yes, so through the chair, the common areas would be the kitchen, which is shared with the police services as well. There's fire extinguisher in there that we stock. And there's emergency lighting in the hallways that are not inclusive in the rental area, which we look after. As far as the caretaking goes, if our caretaker happens to be there while they're there, we may run the vacuum clean over, but it's not a standard weekly thing that we do.
Further questions? Councillor Peacock?
Sorry, just one further one with regard to the insurance. I guess is there a timeline as to when that has to be paid? It doesn't indicate a time on it, just that they provide it. That's on page 128, 10E.
In regards to the.
Yeah, well, it says upon request, so I don't think we've requested it yet, but we will be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions? I have a resolution that's been moved and seconded in regards to this lease agreement. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next item is American flags at Oliver Bappoon's Heritage Park, and apparently there has been one flying there in the past, so this is something they're just asking us to recommend or make a recommendation. It's open for discussion. Councillor Campoff?
My feeling is we should continue to fly the American flags. I don't think it's helpful to have this back and forth that just keeps escalating. I mean, we certainly are trying to be welcoming and encouraging to our neighbors to the south, and it hasn't been an issue in the past. And I recognize that there's some concern about that, but I think we should take the high road. That's my opinion.
Dan?
Yeah, and I've gone to this south a few times in the last little while, and they're still flying, a lot of the places are still flying our flag, so they're not all on the same page as one particular person, so.
Councillor Peacock?
I see the American flag is at the racetrack and that is private property, so that's fine. And the only resolution that I could think of for this is you take down the flagpole, because we have one flag that we fly and it's the Canada flag, and if someone has an issue with it, then just take down the other flagpole and only fly the Canadian flag. But I don't have an issue flying the American flag.
Councillor Viss?
Well, we encourage Americans to stop in and visit the museum, and so why would we not say when they should look at, they're still flying our flag and they're welcoming people, so I can't understand, because one person objects to it, and there may be a reason why that one person says that, but I think the majority would say, come on, people, let's keep the high road, so.
That's what I agree with you. We're above that. So there is a resolution being put together now for us to vote on, but I have no problem with both flags.
So I've just written that with respect to report 2025.117, flying the American flag at Oliver Bappoon's Heritage Park be approved.
I move for a seconder. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the next item, page 136 to 153, is the fire station location report review. First is a resolution that has been moved and seconded in regards to setting a date for this fire station location review discussion to take place. We do have all the comments that were made have been put in our package, and there were letters that the CAO never received. It's very difficult for them to put any information in in our package if the person writes the letter just to me or just to council. I try, if we catch it, to send everything I get to the CAO and whomever else. I think I've sent 2 or 3 in the last few days again.
Yeah, and I
Sean?
just want to add, I'm still receiving them and I forward them to Wayne.
Yeah.
So they're gonna come in for a while yet.
Mhm. You're right. Wayne?
Just wanted to comment, yesterday I sent an email to the council. I had 7 in the morning and I had 8 in the afternoon. So I thought it'd be best to put these together in a subsequent meeting in a report. If you just add them to the agenda, you don't really get any airplay for it.
Yeah.
So they're not published or anything. So we can handle it that way.
Okay, Councillor Viss?
Yes, I don't know how many emails I received, and I suppose all of them got that. I hope they did. I didn't forward them to you. I thought I didn't need to. My point is, we have all the information. We had the 2 public meetings, and how much more time do we want to put into this? We're playing with people's thoughts or minds of where to go. I don't think we should delay it very long. I already know where I'm going today. I don't need any more letters. I don't need any more information from what I already received from all the people. And last meeting, I gave the council all those dollars, but it cost 56 cents this year, 52 cents for just operating on the average home. And at $1.3 million in new trucks, it cost me $2, or the average guy $2 a day. Now, next year, we don't need 3 trucks. If you buy one for 550,000, you save $700,000 right there. So do I need to discuss it any longer? Not for 54 cents a day to have fire protection. So that's my pick. So you know exactly where I'm standing already. I
Okay.
don't need staff, for my sake, give me any more information. I'm happy with what I got, and I know where I gotta be going. I can't play with people's lives.
I agree with you, but on the other hand, when someone does it, go make the trouble to write an email and send it to us, perhaps omitting the CAO or fire chief, it's their right to write the letter. So it should be included in the package, and the council should be allowed the opportunity to look at it if they didn't all get the letters before we make a decision. But I understand, like, a certain point, it's nothing new is coming out. So can we set a date for that meeting where we're going to, did you want to do it at a council meeting for this state fire station location review, or did you want a special meeting? Asking.
I say at the council meeting, I'm ready, unless people have real issues with it. I mean, I wish council would speak up, because if we have issues, then we need to have a special meeting. We're not gonna have major issues, let's move on, it doesn't take long.
Well,
So I want to add that I am working on some more information. At the open house, a lot of the comments had to do with the travel time. And time can be somewhat skewed. In other words, I can drive 5 kilometers in 2 minutes, 10 minutes, or 25 minutes. Time was used because that's the reference in the NFPA document. The feedback we got from the lawyer talked about, or not a lawyer, the insurance was specific on distance. So I think it's important that we have, and I'm already working on it, some information to show the impacts of the difference. And specifically the 2 stations on the discussion points, Intala and Stanley, that we understand the impacts on distance to the potential homeowners. A lot of comments came in from Intala and insurance comments. Those are going to impact anybody with the closure. So I think it's important that council understands the impacts of closing Intala and or Stanley.
same
It's
impacts.
going to be the exact same impacts, and we didn't get comments from Stanley residents. But if that station is the decision to close it, lack of a better word, that council needs to understand what the impacts to those residents are as well. So I am working on it. Using the 5 kilometer distance, that's what came from our insurance company. If you read the comments, there's 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers, a whole bunch of different numbers, but using what we have in writing from our insurance company as a benchmark, then I think that's really important for you guys to make an educated decision.
I just wanted to say that when I was at the Roslyn open house, a resident living in the Stanley area said, or their insurance person said, if the Stanley station closes, they're outside of the 5 kilometers and there will be a higher insurance as a result.
And just the preliminary, the Kekabeka station, 5 kilometers, stops at the 588 1117. So technically the Norwest Arena is outside of that 5 kilometers. So that's why I think it's really important that you guys know on the distance point on the number of houses that are going to be impacted.
Mhm. Yes,
So don't want to get into the weeds on all
No,
that, but I mean,
no.
there's lots of properties, myself included, that are outside of 5 kilometers right now from fire halls, so.
Absolutely, and that's known right now.
Yeah.
What the consideration is that we're gonna change that distances by closing a station. So you're right, there's people that are 20 kilometers from
right
stations,
now.
but that's what it is now. If we close a station, then it's gonna impact people that right now, I just got a call from a lady yesterday for for water shuttle service. She's renewing her policy. And they asked the distance to the station and she said, I'm 1.5 kilometers from Stanley, no problem. If we close Stanley, that's gonna change for that person.
Mhm.
So they didn't know whether there was 5 or 8 or 10, but I think it's important you guys have a visual and an understanding of the distance impact.
Right. Yes. Right?
So the idea is to set a date, but the additional information that you're talking about, Sean, is that possible when, do you think? Sure.
If we do the next council meeting, I'll have something together by then.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the efforts that the residents have made to comment and to attend the open houses and I'm thinking that should we have a discussion at a regular council meeting? That's the 10th of June, would like an evening meeting would be best, should the public decide that they would like to attend it. 9 o'clock in the morning isn't convenient for a number of people, and that's our 25th meeting. So can I suggest that we have a special evening meeting to make this decision? Should the public be interested in attending, or is that too much to ask?
I would also advise the public, if you look out there, how many chairs we have. If we're going to have more people than that, then stay at home and watch it in Zoom.
No.
Because it will not be a meeting where we take comment from the public. That's happening now. It will just be a council discussion. So, but if it has to be a special meeting or a council meeting, it's up to you. Yes.
Yeah, Mayor Lucia, is the decision of closing fire hall based solely on the financial side of it? Is that what we're asking? Or is there other things beside that we have to consider that benefits this municipality by closing to fire hall? From what I hear, from what I see, I understand it's all based on financials. Nobody showed me yet, by closing 1 or 2 fire halls, how many savings we've had. I asked that question, never got that. So you could do a whole lot of internal if you want to save some money. When you have 2 people responding to Stanley, and you have a captain, and you have a captain in Kakabaka, why don't you have 1 captain for 2 fire halls? And Tola Road, why don't you have 1? When you look at the budget stuff, there's $10,000 for each captain. Eliminated 2, you got 20,000 right there. What other savings can we have? If it's all gonna be based on financials, then let's have the numbers. And we haven't had that.
So point taken. One of the challenges that I face with this is there's an infinite possibility of ways to go. And I need direction with respect to which way we're gonna go, so that I'm not doing all these different analysis on all these different options. If it's to close 2 stations, financial is a big part of it, but there's other impacts in there as well. And if that's where we want to look, then I can start doing some math on 2 stations. But we've got 3 options in the master plan, and there's a bunch of different potential outcomes of those. That it's for me to give all the information on all the options, I can't do it. It's as simple as that. So.
One more comment, if I may, when we're looking at that also, when you take and look at the remuneration for the difference, then I looked at firemen respond to calls. $46,000 for the year. Can you imagine what you got paid fighting this fire along the track? Because you got a tick. Well, I think if we want to get more firemen, it's volunteers, but the volunteer days are numbered, folks. We need to look at a salary for volunteer firefighting when they're fighting fires, so much per hour. And that's going up to 46,000, but you may get more volunteers. See, there's so many things like, that come into play here before we just say, well, leave it the same or close it. I haven't got any reason to close a fire hall in my mind. I have not. Nobody's provided me that type of information that said, oh, it's a real benefit to our residents. We got elected by residents and we got to serve them. Am I going to say no to Councillor Calvert and say yes. Councillor Campbell? No, I'm gonna say yes to both or no. I'll leave it at that.
So I am working on a package to change our remuneration for, and if you recall, it's come up to council and several times to get a rate for a point per hour. And as indicated in the conversation that I'm hoping that by summertime I have a package come together with a point per hour. But again, it's a pretty complex undertaking, because now we're gonna get into time cards, we're gonna get into, I don't have the capacity to be able to track that. When we do 500, 600 calls a year with 40 members responding to calls, to be able to track it and be able to come to council to speak to signing off time, it's a major undertaking. And yeah, and just a correction, the honorarium is 77,000 for the training, response and hall duties. The officer's money is under a separate budget line, and the certification is a separate, it's the same budget line, but a separate amount of money earmarked. So, you know, it's, when we do a point system, we can divide, and it's very easy math. But as I indicated when I brought it to council the first time, that it's very difficult to budget when you've got a point per hour system, because I don't know how many points or how many hours are going to be put in. That's what's taking time to collect that data, to be able to give the responders as much money as possible, but stay within a budget so that it's not getting exploded.
A few years ago, Chief and I were discussing about how that might be done, and if you go to a fixed rate, right now with the point system, we have a pot. If we have, you know, a certain amount of activity, the whole pot goes out and you get more per point, right? And if you got a lot of activity, your points go down. So the more you work, the less you get. If we went to an hourly fixed amount and said, okay, we're going to pay so many dollars per hour, and we had this many hours, and we didn't use all the budget, you put the budget into reserve for fire wages in the future. Because the next year you could have a whole pile of hits, and then you've got money left over. So you budget the same each year, and what activity you will get may of course will vary, eh? But right now we have a pot, we divide it out each year, so you could have a year where it's light and you're getting really good compensation for your work, and then when you get a heavy workload, you don't get great compensation, which doesn't make sense.
So as an example, last night we were on fire. We were there for 5.5 hours without cleanup. We had, I believe it was 14 people there. So that's 5 points times 14 people without cleanup. Right now it's 1 point for it. The fire just over here, we're 4 days, we're back there again today. So it's a challenge to be able to, it's easy for me to say this much, but I can't tell you what the budget's gonna be because there's so many unknowns. So it's another one of those, it's not a simple ask.
Well, now, yeah. What we're doing is we're having the discussion right now.
Yeah.
I think I would like to wait, at least if you're going to do it at a council meeting, do it at the next meeting. We'll have more information from Sean, and then we'll have that to read at home before we come here, and then we can discuss it, because we're getting into the discussion, and all I'm asking for is a date. So if you'd like to have a special meeting, we can do it the following Tuesday evening on the 17th, if we're all available. Start at 5. You'll be gone? Okay. I'm just picking how about the 12th? Is it Thursday night? 12th of June?
And that's an evening meet, that's Thursday.
Yes, that's a Thursday.
Okay for the thought.
Is anybody else okay with that? Pardon? And staff is okay for the 12th? Okay. At 5 o'clock, our regular meeting time. We'll have a special meeting on June the 12th.
Lucia, before we leave this, if I just may, because I've been corrected here that I was wrong. Members' honorarium response is what I spoke to. Item 2115, 46,200, not 77. I didn't discuss the training or any of that. There's a set fee of $30 an hour for some of that, but I spoke to the call up. 46.2,
Okay,
not 77. It
okay,
needs to be straight.
okay. So we will be having a meeting on the special meeting in regards to the fire halls at 5 PM on June the 12th. We have a mover and a seconder for that resolution. All in favor? Opposed, carried. And if we do have something to read and get it at our council meet or at or before our council meeting, then we will be ready for our meeting 2 days later.
Would there be an opportunity to add that to the newsletter?
Ron?
Oh, yeah, I guess it is, eh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll go, anyone who's listening and or has in connected will certainly tell all their friends and neighbors about it. And again, I encourage people to, if they're possible, to watch it from home because we do not have very much seats here and they're not allowed. This will not be where they will come back and talk to us. This is a council discussion. So not to be mean, but I don't like it when people think they're coming here to discuss something and give their opinion. It's not fair.
No deputations.
Right on. Okay, now we have, oh, that's the resolution. Sorry. We have the fire station location review report in regards to insurance. That's just for your information. And some more fire department concerns received from the public. And I'm sure there'll be more coming as well. We have reports of committees, the library and the health unit. I don't know if anyone had anything on those. And now the mayor's report, and this was something that I had asked, spoken with Wayne about in regards to the fire that we had on May the 21st. I had some questions during that event, but I would just, the chief is going to give us a bit of a verbal report on that fire that day.
Yeah, so I was out of town when it occurred. I didn't get back into town until around 9 o'clock. I think it occurred at around 3 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. I am gonna do an after-action review because there's a number of things that are evident that either occurred or didn't occur that I gotta collect some information on before I comment on. I have requested an investigation from the Ministry of Natural Resources with respect to cause determination. We will be receiving a bill from the MNR for the assistance that we requested. And it is my full intent to put in a cost recovery invoice if there's a party found at fault for causing the fire. I don't want to drop names, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Captain Zimmer really stood up to the plate in my absence and took control of that situation. And yeah, just my hat's off to him on what he did with that call. It's he really stepped up to the plate on it.
Thank you to him.
We are still there. I got called again this morning to go and investigate some smokes. I expect to be there probably over the next week. It's in the peat moss, which is somewhat challenging to deal with. And then, yeah, my intent is to bring in a full report once we've done our whole review and investigation into what went on there.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Viss?
Could I have a question on that? The fire bombers and the helicopter and stuff, normally they charge someone for the use of that. We were gonna have quite a challenge of who started and how would you ever know who point out who started the fire because they're responsible for that cost, you know?
So we are going to be responsible for the cost, and then it's up to us to do a cost recovery to bill back. And that's why I requested the Ministry of Natural Resources to do a cause determination investigation on it so that we can hopefully definitively point the finger, not to, it's a bad term, but at the person to go after that cost recovery. I can't give you a cost of it, but I'll say it's going to be significant.
Yes.
We had at least 2 water bombers, and I'm hearing 3, maybe 4 helicopters operating on it. And the ministry did help us for for 3 days, I think, with the suppression. Not to mention, we had most of our units there, basically all of our firefighters. I will say all the forestry equipment that we got grant money for was deployed and used. No sprinklers, but the hose certainly. It could have been a very catastrophic in terms of a loss, but we didn't lose any buildings. We lost a vehicle and some damage to vehicles, but other than that, minimal damage, which is just remarkable.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Peacock.
Thank you. I do want to commend the efforts of everyone involved, including Chris. And I did have a question with regard to Voyant Alert.
That's part of my review, and
part
I'm
of the
not gonna
report that we're
comment on
getting?
Okay.
what did or didn't happen. I
Yep.
know there was things that did and didn't happen.
Mhm.
Let's just wait till the report comes
Okay.
and then we can
Thank you.
discuss it. Okay. We now have bylaws. It's been moved and seconded to approve the bylaw for the newsletter agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's been made, approved. We have a bylaw resolution, a bylaw that's been moved and seconded in regards to video recording of council/committee of adjustment meetings policy. It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a bylaw that's been moved and seconded for the transfer of Nicholas Road allowance to the municipality. It's open for discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we also have a lease agreement of office space at the Merlo Hall bylaw, which has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have under petition and communications, we have the Rural Heritage Agricultural Society. It is a resolution. We received a letter from the society asking in regards to putting an advertisement in black and white in their booklet. This is Rural Heritage Agriculture Society.
Have we done this before, I'm assuming?
Yes.
So we'll just continue on.
Yes, moved in, and it has been moved and seconded, but we've done this for a few years.
Yeah.
And this is the amount that we've done in the years past.
Good.
Which one are we offering or approving? Because they give 3 options.
$150.
$150.
Full page, I believe, did we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Full page for $150. That's what the resolution states.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then other items are the reduced provincial tax rate on Ontario-made craft cider. If anyone's going into the cider business. Aluminum can collection containers at Quebec Falls baseball field. There was a letter or an email received from Gail Mans in regards to the Northwestern Ontario Military and Police Museum. Full discovery, I am on that committee, but I do not make money on there. Gail Mans is a secretary and has asked if they can collect cans, put containers at the baseball field and collect cans to raise money.
Do we see it through the director of operation? Any problem with that or issue? All good? Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All righty, so we have a resolution that's being printed out right now.
Yeah, could have prepared it earlier, but we didn't anticipate that, or I didn't. And with respect to the Northwest Ontario Military and Police Museum request to collect balloon cans at the KF ball fields, the request to be approved.
Yeah, I'll pass it this way. Second it. There we go. Okay, we have a resolution that's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then we have responsible growth in opposition to elements of Bill 5, which we had seen earlier. New joint labor. So, yes.
I'm just wondering, is the letter from the town of Shelburne, is this something that we could agree to and respond to them or respond to the ministers that they have indicated that letter went to with regard to Bill 5?
Councillor Campoff?
Was it not noted earlier that this is already passed and it's done?
Yes. Bill 5 it's already passed.
No comment. Bill 5.
Not for this one.
No,
No, it was for the other one.
all for some.
Okay. New joint labor market report for Northwestern Ontario. The Kinawa Legal Clinic newsletter for information, the use of Roslyn Hall. We received a thank you letter for allowing them to have their rental fees waived for their spaghetti dinners. Someone who came to me Sunday was really happy about that. Then we have Housing Enabling Course Servicing Stream, a letter from the Honorable Kenya Surma. And yes,
So in this letter here, and it says that another 175 million is going to be put forth next from April 17th. And it says to repair and expand aging water systems. So is this
Ours
something
is-
different now?
ours is aging by the minute.
Like,
I'm not sure.
like,
We could certainly look into it.
Yeah, so through the chair in regards to the R system, yeah, we had 2-year-old underground infrastructure. We've made improvements over the last 10 years for upgrades, so the original core piece of the plant might be eligible, the way I understand it. Again, we haven't been successful trying to leverage any municipal funds in the last little while. Or any provincial funds in the last little while under
Yeah.
whatever program comes through.
Yeah.
I would also draw when we're looking at this. The first page, 77 water infrastructure projects, 600,000 new homes. And then there's the last statement, introduced MHIP, $1 billion initiative aimed at supporting core municipal infrastructure projects. I think an expansion might fall under that, which I don't think we've pursued as yet. But that might be a way because it says it's specific to 54 small rural municipalities.
Right.
We may
Okay.
apply under that.
So I'm sure administration will keep their eyes open for when something comes through for that. Yeah. Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. A few questions. Do we have any EV charging stations within our municipality? It makes reference to that on page 194. Just didn't know if there was a gas station that had them or
Not as far as I know in our municipality. I have not seen, unless someone has one at their home for their car.
Mhm.
No, I have not seen anything at any service station, drugstore, anywhere.
yeah. And on page 195, it says that MPAC will deliver the assessment notices electronically. I don't know how that would happen. That could be interesting.
Especially
See.
since a lot of people don't even have a computer.
Exactly.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, currently, we're not allowed to do that, and we don't, we could make available a email if people chose to sign up voluntarily to do it.
Okay, oh, so that if they deliver assessment notices, normally you're not allowed to,
Yeah, yeah. We don't.
Tax bills can't go out that way.
Yeah, tax
No.
bills can't go out that
Yeah.
way.
oh, what easier way wouldn't it be if you could just push a button and everybody in the whole township got their bill? Yes.
And they all go to junk mail.
And they all go, they wanted to go to junk mail, yes.
Yeah, MPAC may do it with the assessment notices, but
Mm-hmm.
we can't email tax bills right now,
No.
no.
And on page 196, introducing legislation to permanently cut the provincial gas tax. How will that affect us?
It's wonderful, just keep doing that.
Get money for. I guess I would have to see what their solution is, because the Councillor Peacock is right. We do get gas tax money every year,
That's right,
so, but
we get it from the federal
Federal
government, not the
government.
provincial.
yeah, so that would be, but we don't have a transit system here, so
No.
it wouldn't.
Doesn't
impact us
qualify.
provincially, so.
No, that's right. All righty. MFOA Provincial Economics and Fiscal Update for 2025, page 193 to 203. Groundbreaking event for Pennant Village. This will take place on Saturday. I shall be there. I don't know if anybody else will. From 2 to 4, a message from Chief Darcy Fleury in our package, and a press release from the Oliver Papunj Heritage Park in regards to check presentation at 4 o'clock today. It's unfortunate that I just got that now because I don't think that I'll be there. Yes.
I got it this morning. So what's going on is the Friends of the OPHP individual, he was involved with it, and these other schools and so forth, and they ended up creating a card calendar and sold it, and the proceeds, I believe it's $3,000. They're going to donate it to OPHP, so they're going to have a little event there today for that.
Is anyone from council able to go today for 4? You will? Donna?
Yeah, I'll try to attend, being that I'm their council representative.
Oh, okay. No, it's unfortunate that we just got it this morning because I sent out quite a few calls yesterday for people to come pick up their stuff. And I hate to not be there when they come to pick it up, so. Yeah. So if you would just represent the municipality, and they're not asking us to say anything, but just that they know someone from council is there. New business, Councillor Calvert.
Less that I can think of right off the top of my head, just continued success over at Merle Ball Diamonds, that everything's going well, it's looking really good. And everyone's quite happy with the progress that's being made there.
Good. Councillor Campoff? Nothing. Councillor Viss?
No, I brought my concern to the CEO and regarding the Happy Land, so.
Okay.
we'll address it committee.
Yes, Councillor Peacock?
Just wondering how the landfill dump days, or free dump days went. Would we get
Was there anyone there?
any issue? Was there anyone
I
there?
did. I went there and I didn't realize it was a free
Free
dump
dump day.
week.
So we were very adamant about watching for the people that had left since February.
Mhm.
The majority did not show up. And the residents, there was one resident in particular made 6 trips with a dump and a trailer. The fire ban on, it mostly was brush. So we went back up to 417 visits to the Spence on Saturday.
Wow.
Good.
Our average since February has been somewhere around 220,
We doubled.
doubled.
I know, I gave the thing to the lady and she said, no, it's free. I said, okay, I'll take my card back.
As far as impact to the public and staff relations, we had 6 occurrences over 3 days, both sites all combined, so that's fine.
Okay, good, very good.
And just a reminder, if there's anyone watching, that there is an open house today from 12 to 7 at Roslyn with regard to
Oh,
level of service, and also a survey on SurveyMonkey on our website. Deadline, I believe, is the 31st of May to have those responses in, so. Other than that, busy week
Okay.
for fire and emergency services and much appreciated.
John?
Yeah, so just a couple of short FYIs. We did have a day burner while the fire ban was in place. I asked the conservation officers for assistance and they have laid a charge for that individual. The fire ban is still in place and it will be for a little bit longer. If people are asking, we have updated the post on the website. And then I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did get notification that the 2 chassis for TCI for those 2 fire trucks have been built. And they're just waiting for the delivery timeline for when they're gonna show up in town here. And they have started building the box for the 1 truck. So I'm hoping we get one of them, if not both of them, by the end of the year.
Perfect. It's wonderful. And just something that came to me via phone call, I'll just let you know, I've talked to Wayne, will be contacting the police, says we've got problem in Roslyn again with 3 motorbikes and 2 quads flying down the streets and over driveways, and young children are playing in the front yards, and the neighbors are concerned. So I'm sure the police will go out there, and if they do find where they're parked, talk to the parents and let them know what their responsibility is. And we hope to put something in the newsletter next month for July, because I don't think all parents realize what liability they've got when their child's doing this after school. Anything else from administration? No? Okay, so I have a resolution confirming the meeting that was just held. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried, and we have a resolution adjourning the meeting, the time being 11:40 a.m. Favor? Opposed?
We gotta pick some dates.
We got to fix
Yeah,
Thank you.
Donna, we gotta get the